Just give us one more minute, and then I'm going to pass the mic over to Nina.
And scholarship presentation. I would like to begin the way we always begin everything with Surah Al-Fatiha, or the opening. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. Sirata alladhina an'amta alayhim. Ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. Ameen. And now for the translation. In the name of God, the most compassionate, the most merciful, praise be to God, Lord of all the worlds, the most compassionate, the most merciful, Master of the day of judgment. It is you who we worship, and it is you we ask for help. Guide us to the straight path, the path of those on whom you have bestowed your grace, and not those who are the objects of anger, nor those who go astray. Ameen. I'm joining you this afternoon from Burlington, Ontario, and I wish to specifically acknowledge this land where I am based. I acknowledge that the land on which I am based is part of the treaty lands and territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit. Burlington is rich in history and modern traditions of many First Nations and the Métis. The territory is mutually covered by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, an agreement between the Iroquois Confederacy, the Ojibwe, and other allied nations to peaceably share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. I value the significant historical and contemporary contributions of local and regional First Nations of Turtle Island, and I'm grateful to have the opportunity to work and live on this land. As Muslims, we recognize the connection between anti-Indigenous racism and Islamophobia, and we're committed to working toward justice for Indigenous peoples in Canada. Now, we're thrilled to have you join us online from across Canada and even internationally for our flagship event in celebration of the strength, resilience, and excellence of Canadian Muslim women. Thanks to everyone tuning in to Women Who Inspire 2021. We have a jam-packed and very exciting afternoon lined up for you. And between now and 3 p.m., we'll be introducing and presenting awards to our 2021 honorees, who will also participate in an engaging panel discussion moderated by our newest national board member at CCMW, Hanan Mohammed. We're pleased to also have some special dignitaries with us this afternoon. I want to welcome the Honorable Salma Lakhani, the Lieutenant Governor of Alberta, along with Senator Mary Lou McPhedran, MP Lindsay Matheson, and MP Bonita Zarillo, along with the Honorable Miriam Monsef. We also have the Honorable Marcy Ian, the Minister for Women and Gender Equality and Youth, joining us today. In addition, we have activist and human rights defender Pashtana Durrani joining us for a keynote speech from the US, and a set of very special performances by spoken word artist Frishta Fresh Bastan and musician Sadaf Mohebbi. CCMW's former executive director, Alia Hogben, will be with us very shortly to pay tribute to our special guest, Minister of Women and Gender Equality, Miriam Monsef, who will share a few words. We'll also have a surprise announcement, and we'll be sharing some very exciting news with you later this afternoon. So stay tuned for all that and much more. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about the Canadian Council of Muslim Women, just in case you didn't know. CCMW is a community of dynamic Muslim women from across the country. We're more than an organization, we're a family and a movement for the empowerment and celebration of all Muslim women in Canada. And events like today's presentation are essential to this movement and to creating future generations of Muslim women leaders. Women Who Inspire is our annual fundraiser that helps raise funds to support promising Canadian Muslim women in their studies through the Dr. Leela Fahlman Scholarship, which is named after the late Dr. Leela Fahlman. She was a renowned educator and she was the founder of CCMW. The winners of the 2021-22 Leela Fahlman Scholarship will be awarded this afternoon by our Dr. Nafisa Sheikh, who's a long-standing member of the Scholarship Selection Committee. But before I begin, I'd like to extend warm wishes and say a huge thank you to our sponsors, funders, and partners whose generous support and contribution allows us to work towards our mission and makes events like Women Who Inspire possible. Thanks to you all. We truly couldn't have done this without you. Our gold sponsors today are the IDRF, International Development and Relief Foundation, the Canadian Women's Foundation, and CJPME, the Canadians for Justice and Peace in the Middle East. Our silver sponsors for today's event are NPF, Niagara Protective Flooring, I Love Modesty, Islamic Relief, OCASI, which is the Ontario Council for Agencies Serving Immigrants, and Masrawi Egyptian Kitchen. And our bronze sponsors today are Blow Dry Bar, Big Oakville, City Soap, Emmanuel College, Sergas Human Capital, and the Syrian Canadian Foundation. If you tweet about the event today, you'll be automatically entered into our giveaway of a free full face and fake lashes makeup session with @Makeup by Liberian. Here's how to enter. Number 1, follow us on Twitter @CCMW National. Number 2, tweet about the event and use the hashtag WWI2021 and tag us. And for a bonus, like and reshare our tweets. Now, it gives me great pleasure to introduce the Honorable Marcy Ian, the Minister for Women and Gender Equality and Youth. The Honorable Marcy Ian has served as Member of Parliament for Toronto Centre since October 2020. Minister Ian is a devoted community leader and a passionate advocate for vulnerable communities in Canada and around the world. And prior to being elected to the House of Commons, she had an award-winning career in journalism and television that spanned 3 decades. She's traveled internationally with Journalists for Human Rights and World Vision. Minister Ian has worked as a mentor with underprivileged youth with Trust 15, an after-school program based in the Etobicoke area of Toronto and in La Loche, Saskatchewan, following the shooting at Dene High School in 2016. She's also supported students from these communities by co-founding a new scholarship at the RTA School of Media at Ryerson University. As a graduate of Ryerson herself, she later returned to the university as a distinguished visiting professor and served on its board of governors. And in October 2020, just a day after being elected to Parliament, Minister Ian released her first book, titled Off Script, Living Out Loud, in which she shares personal milestones, tales of resilience and kindness, dramatic moments from her career as a journalist, and insights from the many unforgettable people she has met and interviewed. Minister Ian was born and raised in Toronto, where she lives with her children Blaze and Dash. Minister Ian, welcome, and over to you.
Nina, thank you so very much. Salam alaikum to everyone. I am Marcy. My pronouns are she, her, and it is my privilege to be with you today. I'm coming to you from my home in Toronto, and I acknowledge that this is from the traditional territory of the Wendat, the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, the Métis, and the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. It isn't lost on me, the timing of our time together today. Yesterday was World Kindness Day. And I was thinking about that because as women, we are kind, we are full of empathy, but that kindness and that empathy doesn't always extend to ourselves. And I speak of personal experience. There are times when I have said to myself, you're not good enough. You don't deserve to be here. What makes you think that you do? There are times that I've said those things to myself, said things that I would never say to my friends because I'm there for my friends. But how do we not only extend kindness to others, but give ourselves the care that we need to have the resilience that we need as racialized women to walk through the corridors, walk through the halls, walk through the streets, exist in the country that we love called Canada. We often hear the term microaggression. And I am of the belief that there is nothing micro about the kind of aggression that we face. They are all macro. That pain manifests. That pain is real. when we are in spaces, whether we're at work or, on the streets, at home, wherever we are, when they happen, that creates trauma. And we may cast it aside because we're meant to be strong and we're meant to be there for everybody else. We may say that doesn't matter, that can wait, but it manifests itself in other ways. I was in Halifax just a couple of days ago, and I had some great meetings with community leaders. And one of them reminded me how important, when we talk about self-care, how important it is to have cultural representation, to have spaces where we can go, where the people that are treating us or the people who we are sharing with look like us, have our lived experience. That matters, and that helps us heal. I stand here right now and am stronger because I'm standing in the footsteps of the brilliant, honorable Miriam Ansari. Miriam is a friend. Miriam is someone that had time for me, made space for me when I was a new MP. She was always a phone call away. That is the kind of thing that we need as women in these spaces. Safe spaces to share, kindness for others, but also ourselves. And that's what helps us to be resilient. Miriam is a trailblazer, a woman who leads with empathy, a woman who leads with kindness, and I will continue to do just that. And what does that mean? That means if you see me doing something and you feel that I need guidance in some way, it means you reach out. It means you say, hey, I have an idea, maybe this is the way you should do this. It means that this is a constant conversation. That's what this is about. Again, I am privileged to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me. And a huge shout out and congratulations to the 2021 Women Who Inspire honorees and those who are scholarship recipients. Thank you. It's wonderful to be here. Nina, back to you.
I think it's actually Nushat taking over now, Minister Ina.
Sorry.
Okay. Sorry, Nushat.
That's quite all right. Well, thank you so much, Minister. We are delighted that you were able to join us, and we are very happy that both you and the Honorable Miriam Ansari are with us to actually pass the baton. So here we are, and I'm going to now introduce you to our amazing keynote speaker. We're so blessed actually to have Pashtana Durrani with us. Pashtana is a remarkable young woman. What's amazing about her is that she managed to get out of Afghanistan and she's now in the United States. So we're delighted to welcome you, Pashtana, as the activist and human rights defender that you are. And her background is very vast. She is a community development expert focusing on digital literacy. Pashtana is the founder and director of Learn Afghanistan, a nonprofit organization dedicated to educating children in Afghanistan. She has received the Malala Fund Education Champion Award and is an international members youth representative for Amnesty International, as well as a board member of UNDP GEF Steering Committee. Pashtana will now be joining us from the US, and we are delighted to welcome you, Pashtana. Over to you.
Thank you, Nushat. Thank you so much, and excuse my background because I am traveling, so yeah. But I am so honored to be here and so honored to be part of this amazing, accomplished women.
Oh, Pashtana, you're suddenly muted. There we go.
Yeah, okay. So as I was preparing for this keynote speech, I get this call from And the reporter who's visiting Kandahar today, and she tells me that there are 75 children that are starving, and the only person that is with them in that hospital is 75 mothers that are sitting there. And I kept on thinking to myself that when I was preparing the speech, I was like, what am I gonna say every time I talk about women? Because every time I see is that women in Afghanistan suffer. Every time I see that Afghan women have to give up on their children, on their houses, if they have to make a change in their life, or if they want to live further. But then at the same time, when the keynote speech, when everyone came here and you talked about Miriam Ansari, and I remember to myself when I was a young person, I remember that there was not a single Afghan woman who was in a leadership position that you would look up to in international community and would see, okay, maybe someday I would want to be like her. And then I remembered she was the first one who actually changed that. And she was the first one that majority of Afghan women within Afghanistan and outside of Afghanistan looked up to. And that's something that I would remember. And that's something that I want to start with, the fact that if given opportunities, Afghan women can do amazing things, and women in general can do amazing things. Today, I would like to take this stage to talk about the fact that Afghanistan right now suffers. Women in Afghanistan suffer, but overall women in Syria, women in Yemen, mothers who have given birth to amazing children today suffer. At the same time, women who are amazingly on your platform have been there and have done amazing jobs, are now known and recognized. And I want to thank them to filling in that gap, filling in that and divide between Muslim women who have never been recognized, whose only jobs are to be in the background. I want to thank all those women who have been here, who are celebrated, but also are strong enough to make sure that they fill that gap. And every time a little girl who doesn't have stability looks up to them. So I would like to thank every one of the women here, and I would like to focus on the fact that yes, there are times when we suffer as a collective. There are times where mothers would go on and tell their daughters, why are you menstruating? What is wrong with them? Because of the whole situation back in the day, back in Afghanistan. But at the same time, there are amazing women who are making sure that people are educated on that. At the same time, it's women who share grievances. At the same time, it's women who hold each other and make sure that we survive through this. If today I have survived everything and I am here, it's because of the amazing women tribe that I have in the US and back home and in Canada. So without a further ado, I want to make sure that we celebrate these amazing women and we give them the support that they need, because at the end of the day, we are your tribe, and you need this tribe to hold each other accountable and hold each other with all the love and respect that we deserve and that we are not given. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastana. I'm now going to call on our spoken word artist, Frishta Bastan. Fresh Bastan has performed in front of diverse audiences around the world, and her work has been recognized on many platforms, including CBC's Metro Morning. Frishta's art engages in dialogue surrounding social justice issues at home, in Afghanistan, and abroad. Her celebrated first book, Share, is available to purchase on Amazon, and all author proceeds are donated to a local women's shelter in the GTA. We are thrilled to have her join us this afternoon. So fresh on the heels of Pastana Durrani is Frishta Bastan. Over to you, Frish.
Excuse me, Salam, and hello, everyone. It is such an honor to be here. It gives me goosebumps that I'm following up someone as inspiring and as incredible as Pashtana Jan, because I've been following her work for quite a while now, and to have her in the same space as us right now is surreal. I wish it was in better circumstances, but it is an incredible honor to share the space with you. Pashtana John, as well as the incredible panelists today, including Miriam John, Minister Monsef. She liked to echo Pashtana John's words earlier. Miriam John did give us the hope and the inspiration that Afghan women can truly do anything, and they can take up spaces that are traditionally taken up by white men. And the fact that she gave us this hope is incredible. So I have goosebumps all over right now, because I can't believe that this is the kind of space that I'm in right now. I'm very honored to be here today. I do want to thank the organizers and the host for having me today. It's always an honor to come and participate in these awards. I hope the next time we do this is in person. I'm going to be performing one poem today. I do come from a place of grieving and mourning, so I do send my deepest condolences to the Afghan participants who are here today, who are still struggling and grasping the idea of what's going on in Afghanistan. But I do want to acknowledge, like Pashtana John said earlier, that even now, currently, Afghan women are still, even under the most severe and dire circumstances, are still fighting simply for their right to exist. And I want to make clear that I am in solidarity with that fight, and I will be until the end of my time. I hope this poem resonates. It is written for the diaspora. I think it's been a difficult and challenging time for us in the last couple of months. And I hope you folks enjoy it. Dear diaspora, I know you feel so deeply connected to a place you left behind, willingly or unwillingly, or only visited through your dreams, or have lived through generations of memories. It's like when the soil of back home is threatened and you can physically feel the pain, yet you're thousands of miles away, when suffering transcends borders, when cries and pleas echo towards you, carried through the clouds, pattern in the stars and reflect on the moon. You still share the same sky. But you also feel their happiness, pray for their safety, for strangers, not even blood relatives, but you share the same pride, same hope, same dreams of peace, freedom, and liberation. Of course, you feel everything. The color of your hair matches the very soil generations of your family were born in. Your fingers linger to touch the waters and feel the sun of which your soul knew once. Your feet long to walk the paths generations before you took diaspora. I know your heart refuses to let go. A dead tree is one with no roots to show. Thank you.
Thank you, Frishta. Mashallah, that was beautiful. And you know what's amazing about what we heard Pashtana John say, and what Frishta John has said, is that we are so connected. You know, Pashtana's here. She just left Afghanistan, arrived in the US, and here she is in this space. And to be able to share this space with us, I actually, when we first contacted her, she was overseas. She was in Afghanistan, and we were quite concerned that, you know, her delivery might be affected and interrupted. But mashallah, you know, God works in very, very amazing ways, great ways. That you are here, and Frishta, you were able to speak to her as part of the diaspora, and share the space with her. So thank you so very much. Now it gives me great pleasure to ask our former executive director, Alia Hogbin. Everybody knows Alia. She needs no introductions. She is, in fact, a trailblazer in her own right. She is my mentor and a mentor to many, many women on this call today. And she's in a great position to actually pay this tribute, because if it hadn't been for Alia, we may not have been able to get to where we are as CCMW today with our relationship with Miriam, with the Honorable Miriam Ansari. Alia, could you please start? Alia, you're muted.
Am I unmuted now?
You're fine now. Thank you.
Hello, Miriam. I start by saying, Dear Honorable Miriam Monsef, today I would like to greet you as a friend, not only of our organization, the Canadian Council of Muslim Women, but of all the women's organizations who have had the pleasure of working with you. You represented the riding of Peterborough Kawartha from January 2017 to October 2021 as a Liberal and were immediately chosen for the cabinet. This is a remarkable feat for a young woman born in 1985, aged 32, and made even more remarkable because of your background. You are the child of a refugee widow who had to leave her country, Afghanistan, via Iran. Imagine leaving behind everything familiar and traveling over the continents with three young daughters, Mariam, Mina, and Mehrangez, to immigrate to Canada. You were 11 years old in 1996 and probably spoke little or no English, and like other immigrants, had to adapt to the unfamiliar surroundings of another culture, of language, school, and of housing. As an Afghan Canadian woman, you have achieved much, as an individual and as a federal minister. You have reason to be proud, not vain or arrogant, for your contributions to your country and to your community. You have shown true leadership, not only by being out front, but by your encouragement of others, such as the women of the Canadian Council of Muslim Women, to fulfill our potential as active, engaged women. We are proud of the years of public service our members have completed to ensure that women, girls, and their families are fully engaged in all aspects of life as Canadian Muslim women. We hope that you agree that our role and participation is vital to these goals, and that we plan to continue our work with the new minister, the Honourable Marcy. CCMW has been around since 1982 and has at times experienced a lack of respect and of support by our own governments. The women of CCMW are most appreciative of the respect and support you have shown to us. Your support to strengthen our capacity so that we are able to obtain our charitable status, develop an excellent website so that develop governance and educational resources, and manage several vital projects, have increased our presence and plans for the future of Canadian Muslim women. As one of the organizations who have actively participated with you, CCMW has been able to address such issues as violence against women, including human trafficking, family laws, and racism. Your encouragement to ensure that women's voices are heard in all possible areas of civil life have been invaluable. You may have lost your political seat just now, but we hope it is temporary and that you will return strong. Please remember that you're still at the start of your life's journey, so do not despair. There will be hiccups along the way. I quote Maya Angelou, who said, "There are people who go through the burdens by ignorance because they refuse to see. When they do not recognize the truth that they belong to their community and their community belongs to them." Please listen to her advice. Listen to yourself, and in the quietude, you might hear the voice of God. Dear Miriam, we wish you the best, and please count us amongst your well-wishers for a bright and rosy future. By the way, I searched for an example of an Afghan poem called a Lande, comprised of a single couplet made of 9 and 13 syllables, but was unsuccessful. Perhaps you will share one with us later. All the best, dear Miriam. Khuda Hafiz.
Thank you, Alia. That was beautiful. And you did a terrific job of reminding us what it has meant to us to have Miriam as the minister. And of course, a friend for life Miriam, would you like to say a few words?
Hello, everybody. Bonjour, Anin, salam alaikum. Thank you so much. Alia, merci beaucoup. Vous êtes très gentil. And you certainly know how to make a girl feel special. To the incredible women who are being honored here today, thank you for what you do. You make Canada better. The first time that I met the incredible Alia and the team at CCMW was in Montreal. And they painted a grim picture of the women's movement in Canada after 10 years of underfunding, after 10 years of being underestimated and undermined, and particularly for Muslim women. And while they painted this grim picture, they also helped me feel motivated and empowered to be part of the solution. And because of courageous conversations like we had that day, as I did across the country, the sustainability of the women's movement in Canada became my #1 priority as minister. Because of women like you and those on this screen here today, the Prime Minister added collaboration with grassroots women's movement to every single item in the Women's Minister mandate. Because of you, the budget for status of women and women's organizations went from $20 million in 2015 to $200 million in 2021. A third of funds in the National Housing Strategy has been carved aside for building housing for women. We got $10 a day childcare, and it's moving forward. We got agreement to move ahead with a 10-year gender-based violence national plan. And for the duration of the pandemic, emergency gender-based violence funds with core operational funding for the next 2 years, as of last summer anyway, was providing about 1 million women and children a place to go during their hour of need. The work ahead is going to be tough. The actions from the Islamophobia Summit, moving forward with online hate legislation, making sure that provinces like Ontario sign on with the child care deal. That work is going to be hard. Women's physical safety and economic security, particularly that of Muslim women, is continuing to be under threat here at home and here and around the world. But at the same time, what I've seen across the country is Muslim women are rocking it in every corner of the country. And even though the pushback against every single inch of progress we make is hard and mobilized, because of women like those here today, like those being celebrated today, we will move forward. And celebrating women and connecting women creates a kind of magic that moves mountains. I really appreciate the way you're elevating the voice of Afghan women like Pashtana Jan, like Frishta Jan. That kind of solidarity has never been more important. Collaboration amongst feminists has never been more important. And I've seen you celebrate and nurture the next generation of Aliyas. Please keep that up. And I hope you feel empowered that the work in Ottawa is in good hands. There's never been more Muslims elected. There's never been more Muslims working on the Hill. And as you can see, the work of women like Salma Zahid, Ikra Khalid is further strengthened with the portfolio of women and youth in the hands, capable hands of the inspiring and thoughtful Minister Marcy Ian and her team. In the darkest of days and the hardest of days, I'm reminded that I'm part of a movement that has existed long before I ever got here, and a movement that'll continue long after I'm gone. That movement is you. And it's in every corner of the globe, and it's getting stronger and stronger every day, despite the challenges. I'm honored to continue to be part of this movement and to learn from you. And I look forward to celebrating the women who are being recognized here today. Tashakkur, merci, Gwech.
Thank you. Thank you, Mariam, and thank you, Alia, for your remarks. and for joining us today. You've left us in very good hands with Minister Ian, and we look forward to working with her and her team. Thanks again. You're both a great source of strength and inspiration for CCMW and the Canadian Muslim women's community or communities, and we cannot thank you enough for all your great work. Now, moving on to the centerpiece of today's event, our Women Who Inspired 2021 Awards presentation. We are delighted to announce 7 outstanding Canadian Muslim women trailblazers as the recipients of the 2021 Women Who Inspire Awards. The women in this exceptional, diverse, and resilient group are chosen for their accomplishments in a wide range of endeavors and for their commitment to empowering women and girls and improving the lives of others. We will now introduce each of these remarkable women in alphabetical order. They will join us for a few minutes each to accept their awards. So please join us in extending a huge round of applause. Use your features in the Zoom to applaud in the reactions box or thumbs up, however you want to celebrate. But please do join us in applauding these amazing champions. So our first honoree is Dr. Fazia Alvey. Dr. Fazia Alvey grew up in Pakistan and is an American-trained physician who has been working in Calgary, Alberta for the past 14 years. She and her husband, Tahir Alvey, have always been passionate humanitarians and have organized several health and education-related projects in developing nations, including opening a charity-based maternity hospital in rural Pakistan. She has been traveling to Bangladesh to support Rohingya refugees since 2017, when Myanmar's army began mass killings of the country's minority Muslim Rohingya population. She was moved by the plight of the Rohingya on her first medical mission there and has since been an advocate for them. She has spoken at various international forums and newspapers about this genocide and is also involved in advocacy for the Uyghurs of China and putting a stop to illegal organ harvesting. She's the founder of Humanity Auxilium and organizes their medical relief and advocacy missions. She's been given various awards for her advocacy work, including being a Nobel Peace Prize or Nobel Prize nominee in 2019, appointed as Paul Harris Fellow of the Rotary Foundation, and was a recipient of the Advocacy Award in 2019 by Calgary Area Medical Staff Association. So adding to her honors is this year's Women Who Inspire Award. We now invite Dr. Alvey to say a few words.
Thank you, Nuzhat. Can you hear me well?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
I'm extremely touched and honored to be nominated for this award. Growing up, I never thought of myself as the kind of person who would be good getting this kind of attention. And by some twist of fate, my life threw me into the humanitarian work, and I ended up loving it. Being an immigrant in this country, and furthermore being a Muslim, I thought it was incredibly important to show young Muslim women that there is truly nothing stopping them from trying new things. We just heard Minister Monsef, and it was very inspirational words that she said, being a refugee immigrant to this country. Yes, our culture tends to encourage conservative values, but that doesn't mean that your place in this country has to be defined by anybody else. I would like people who are listening to just take a moment to consider that Islam is a 1400 years old religion. And within Islam, you had the birth of the hospitals and medicine. The first university in the world was founded by Muslim women. I don't know how many people know about this. So Islam is not the religion that suppresses women. It's a misconception. And I believe that our media is doing a great job of spreading this misconception. Thank you very much for the award again.
Thank you, Dr. Alvey, and welcome to our CCMW family. Now you cannot leave us, so please stay with us. Our next honoree is Mina Ansari. Mina practices Aboriginal law in Takaranto, Her passion for indigenous sovereignty stems from experiencing colonization in Pakistan. Mina received her legal training from the University of Victoria. While a law student, Mina published a peer-reviewed paper arguing for feminist interpretations of Quranic reproductive laws. Mina's understanding of Islam is grounded in her faith practice of the Al-Tawheed Jummah Circle, a gender-equal LGBTQI2S affirming mosque. Apart from her professional and faith-based interests, Mina enjoys watching stand-up comedy shows, petting other people's dogs, and scuba diving only in warm water. Mina, can we hear from you, please?
Thank you so much for that lovely welcome, Nazid. And I want to thank CCMW so much for creating this opportunity to recognize all the amazing women in our community. I'm so grateful that you have created a space where Muslim women can be celebrated. And I feel so blessed to share this space with all the women being honored today. I also want to thank Farooq Haki and the Al-Tawheed Jummah Circle for creating a space for queer Muslims in Toronto. It's so amazing to have a place where all Muslims can feel accepted and loved. I also want to thank my partner, Dennis Barkov. As they say, behind every successful woman is a loving man, and he is that person for me. And my parents, who try to love me every day from across our many differences and divides. And Allah, all our ancestors, the Mother Earth who gives us so much, and all the beauty of nature. I'm so grateful for its generosity every day.
Thank you, Mina. So our next honoree is Dr. Salva Farooqi. And Salva Farooqi is a first-year resident physician in obstetrics and gynecology at the University of Toronto. She completed her medical training at U of T and graduated with the Golden Stethoscope Award, as well as Student Award of Merit for her quality patient care and community involvement. She graduated with a master's in health research methodology with a specialization in clinical epidemiology at McMaster University. She's passionate about women's health and has developed her career around advocacy and patient education. Specifically, she is a co-founder for Women's Health Education Made Simple, a social media platform used to educate and empower women to take control of their own health. To date, they've published more than 30 videos, over 100 infographics, and have expanded to a full team of more than 15 members. They've been awarded 2 scholarships in recognition for their work in advancing the status of women. Salva has also advanced in her scholarly interests by traveling to Cape Town, South Africa, and Mexico City to present her research at international conferences. In her downtime, she enjoys videography and interior design. She's always on the hunt for a good deal. So Salva, let's hear from you.
Thank you so much, Nazid, for that introduction. It's truly an honor and privilege to be recognized amongst, these trailblazers. It's also very nerve-wracking. I don't know if I truly deserve to be here, but I hope at least I can be half the women that are represented today. And they have truly inspired me. And I hope I can sort of continue to inspire others as well. I'm truly grateful for my family, my friends, and of course, the village that truly made this happen. But I'm especially grateful for my mentor, Dr. Tinabais, who was my nominee. She is someone I met in my 3rd year of medical school, and I knew I just wanted to know her even more. I did my level best to email her constantly, to follow her around the wards, to spend extra time with her, and to really be in her presence and guidance. She's an amazing, strong, intelligent, compassionate human. And I know I knew when I met her for the first time that she has fought many battles to be a Black physician in a foreign country, and to repeat her residency, and to make a space for herself in a more sort of environment where she's not truly represented or to have the space or privilege to speak. And so she created that space for me, and she is someone that I actually co-founded the Women's Health Education Made Simple initiative with. And through her I continue to rise, and I think meeting these amazing women has truly inspired me to do my level best and to serve my community.
Thank you, Salwa. Beautiful. Our next honoree is Alina Heathery. Alina is a Canadian Muslim woman who is known for her outstanding achievements, advocacy for her fellow Muslim women, and excellent community service. Alina demonstrates leadership and sets an example in the community through her courage, ambition, commitment, and confidence. She created her own path, starting as a refugee claimant to now working at Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada as an integration program officer. Alina had also worked with prominent service providers, provider organizations, and immigration lawyers in Toronto, providing settlement and advocacy services, often with a special focus on assisting women and increasing their access to services. She demonstrates commitment to civic engagement by volunteering with various organizations such as Women for Afghanistan Women or Afghan Women, Nisa Homes, Zonta International, and the Canadian Council of Muslim Women, supporting women's equality and access to education and services. Alina has a very, very interesting backstory, and one that fascinated me. It was included in her nomination. Did you know that Alina dressed up as a boy so she could be educated in Afghanistan when she was, I think she was 5 years old, and she continued that. Then she was noticed. She was selected as one of the first exchange students from Afghanistan to attend high school in the United States and graduated as the valedictorian. Alina was a recipient of a full scholarship from Bennington College, where she successfully completed her BA in International Studies and Mediation and Negotiation. Later, she was a recipient of a merit fellowship from Ryerson University, where she completed her MA in Immigration and Settlement Studies. In recognition of her community and advocacy work for women and newcomers, Alina has received multiple awards. Her story is often cited as a success to encourage newcomers to make Canada their home too. So Alina, let's hear from you now.
Thank you so much, Nazahat. This award from CCMW is a great and powerful moral booster for me. It inspires me to continue to do even more to contribute to the community and help people. Therefore, I would like to thank CCMW for such an incredible recognition. I would also like to thank my family, my husband, my dear friends, and my colleagues who are here today, most of them, for their continuous encouragement and support. I have role models among my colleagues, among my friends in the Muslim Canadian community, most of them from CCMW, and in the Afghan Canadian community, such as Honorable Miriam Acaba and Adina Niazi, the Executive Director of Afghan Women Organization. I have learned so much from their experiences and from their story of resilience. And this has been an excellent motivation source for me. And thank you so much for paving the way for us. Thank you so much. Back to you, Nessa.
Thank you, Alina. That was wonderful. Our next honoree is Gulbano Haki. I'm going to call her Gul because that's how I know her. Gul Haki is a social activist, a community builder, an amazing cook, and a grandmother. She is a retired banker with years of experience in customer service, data processing, management, and technology. Since retiring, Gul has spent traveling overseas and in Toronto with her grandson. Gul has been an active volunteer since the 1960s, organizing, facilitating, and hosting gatherings, conferences, and media events. In Canada, Gul volunteered many years with the Committee for Racial Justice, the Pacific Interfaith Citizenship Association of BC, and the Council of Muslim Communities of Canada. Since retiring, Gul remains active in community building and organizing. She's a founding member, coordinator, and facilitator of the Vancouver Unity Mosque, an affiliate of the ETJC, the Unity Mosque, a gender equal 2S LGBTQA+ affirming Islamic sacred space. In Vancouver and in Toronto, she provides support, personal counsel, guidance, and mentoring congregants. As chair of Better at Home Advisory Committee, Gul helped assess and understand the needs of seniors in order to provide effective home care. She's looking forward to spending more time with her grandson, traveling, sipping fresh coconut on a tropical beach at sunset, and one day climbing Machu Picchu. And Gul, we wish you all the best in climbing that mountain. You've climbed so many already. Let's hear from Gul now. Gul? Calling Gul Haki.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
Thank you very much, Nuzhat. Alhamdulillah for Allah's bounty. I'm really honored and pleased to receive Women Who Inspire Award. Thank you to the Canadian Council of Muslim Women for this honor. My family and I have been part of CCMW since the beginning. I thank Amina Jamal for nominating me for this award, and also Almas and Shaheen. And also, I'd like to thank my community all across the world and my family. Thank you also to my son, Al Farouk, his husband, Troy, and their son, my grandson, Tajali. It is their support and love that gives me the strength to carry on. The Unity Mosque has truly helped open my heart and understanding of the needs of the LGBTQI2 community. And I am honored today to say that they are my community, my family of choice. Thank you.
Thank you, Gul. And we're so delighted that actually you spend a lot of time in Toronto. So sometimes I get to see you in the neighborhood.
Yes, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next honoree is Nashua Alina Khan. Nashua is a community educator, facilitator, and researcher. She's also a writer and poet. She holds a Master's of Environmental Studies from York University with areas of concentration focused on narrative methodologies, community and public health, refugee and forced migration studies. Her work has been published in a variety of places, including Vice, Rewire, This Magazine, and the New York Times. She's the host of 2 podcasts, Muslim Ram Springa and Habibti Please. Through her podcast, Nashua has quickly become a compelling Muslim Canadian in media with a platform that discusses the intersections of race, class, religion, and various other identities. She curates episodes and newsletters that share important narratives of diverse communities who are fighting for social and economic justice, and also highlights social movement victories across the country. Nashua also co-founded Abolition Saga, a reading group for Mississauga residents to actively learn about and build knowledge of progressive politics and movements. Nashua has a history of participating in grassroots activism and continuously demonstrates a commitment to civic engagement. She invests her time in leading and participating in community projects that benefit not only Muslim communities, but other historically marginalized communities as well. And of interest to everyone on this call, Nashua is a former or a recipient of our Lila Feldman scholarships. So we've come, this is a continuum of accomplishments for Nashua. Nashua, would you like to say a few words now, please?
Yes, yeah, I think I'm unmuted. Should
Yes.
be unmuted. Amazing. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I'm just reading the chat right now, but I'm very honored to be here. I'm among so many great nominees. It's just such an honor, but also it's like very important, I think, because I think the work I do sometimes it's very community based, but also sometimes I'm the only Muslim in a room, but also beyond being the only Muslim in a room, I think we always have to think about who's not in a room, and that includes Muslim spaces or non-Muslim spaces, but the most marginalized people are not in a room. And so I come from a very working class family. My parents can't ever attend things like this because they work on weekends. And the women I work with in Morocco, as well as like in the abolition reading group, we forget about people who can't be present. So when I get awarded, everybody in my life is touched because it kind of cements and solidifies and signals that this work matters, especially like reading group or popular education work, that it matters. And the scholarship helped me 5 years ago with my tuition in a way that was so impactful and important and reflects in the work that I do around Muslim women. But yeah, I think basically social justice has been framed in a way where people think that trickle down social justice works, but really it's about trickle up social justice. And that's the type of work I try to focus on. So that scholarship was foundational to me and the work I do today. So as a student, I got to study and gain the skills that I use today in the work I do, especially the writing and the popular education. And when I interview people on encampments or immigrant detention and forced refugees, like forcing refugees out of the country. So that's all because people supported me years ago. And now I get to be somebody who's privileged in these rooms and in these conversations. So thank you for awarding me this year. And thank you to my nominators, Ryan Deshpande, Momina Habib, and Kandil Imran, who really believe in my work and who are always there. And for recognizing work like this, because I don't think abolition work or abolition reading groups are always appreciated in the context of our society that's changing right now. And so this signals that there are changes happening. So I really believe in this work and I appreciate being awarded today and support the scholarship because it funds people like me who end up here again.
Thank you. Thank you for that great plug for our scholarships. And that's why we're all here today, to raise money so we can have more young women like Nashua succeed and be there present where often we're absent. Our next nominee is Hawa Miri. And she's the principal consultant at Hawa Miri Consulting. Hawa is a proven strategic senior leader, equity consultant, and community organizer with 2 decades of nonprofit experience focused on high-impact community development. In 2017, she completed a master's degree in environmental studies from York University, where her research examined community storytelling as a place of transformation. And in fact, at one of our CCMW Women Who Inspire events, she actually did storytelling for us. So welcome back, Hawa. She's a critical writer, commentator, and columnist with Ricochet Media that has been featured in Maclean's, Briar Patch Magazine, Metro Morning, CBC, City TV, Rebel, among others. She was formerly the federal NDP candidate for York Southwestern. So over to you, Hawa, for some words for us. Hawa?
Yeah, you should be able to hear me. Hi, everybody. I start first with Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Salam to all of those who are here today. Faith in the Creator and Allah has really given me, I believe, the courage and the conviction that I've always needed for much of my life, particularly as a Black Muslim woman living within the context of Canada, to take risks, to jump into the unknown, and to know that I am always fundamentally walking the path that has been written for me. My name is Howie Haymare. I want to thank everyone for this incredible honor. It isn't to be taken lightly to be considered a woman who inspires in a world of women who constantly inspire, motivate me, and guide me in all that I've ever done and all that I've ever wanted to be. It is strong, compassionate, powerful, often Black and Somali women who have changed my life. My grandmother died in February of 2013, and with her, her collection of stories. So every time I speak of powerful women, my words in part resurrect my ayeo, Hawa Hassan Kharab, for whom I was named for. There is neither greater honor nor greater responsibility for me to the work that I do than to know that I am always in service of her and in service of that memory. I have to thank Judy Grant and Samina Edu, my bold and inspirational nominators. I am always in awe of what you have both taught me, what you've given me, and I am proud to call you both comrades and sisters in spirit. We are in a moment of intense social change, and accepting this award, I would be remiss not to urge every single one of us that we no longer have the time for complacency or waiting working in increments, or for moderation. People's lives, as we've seen recently, and as if we see every day, are on the line. We have to urge our governments and those in positions of power to move past performance to action in service of those who are most vulnerable, especially when we think about housing, especially when we think about climate change, and especially when we think about poverty and human rights. Above all, we have to push forward as Muslims on legislation that no longer allows acts of violence, including uprooting the anti-terror legislation that has really done a disservice to Muslim communities, in particular Black Muslim communities within Canada. We cannot afford another moment to wait. And I believe that our deen and our faith demand nothing less from us than justice. It just depends now on whether or not we'll rise to that challenge. Thank you for having me here today, and thank you very much for this award.
Thank you, Hawa. And thank you for correcting my pronunciation. I kept on calling you Hawa, but I think it's close. Thank you so much for your words of wisdom, everyone. And congratulations to all of you for this year's award. Now everyone can see why you were nominated and why you were selected to receive this award. And you continue to be trailblazers, leaders in your own right. You're showing us the way. Thank you for your guidance, and thank you for your footsteps that we are delighted to follow. Well, that wasn't all that you're going to be hearing from our amazing honorees. We're now going to call them to participate in a panel on this year's theme, which is resilience and self-care in turbulent times. They're going to share their experiences of resilience, also may have some lessons for us. And I'm now going to call on our moderator for the panel, our latest board member, actually, Hanan Mohammed, who is a second-year law student at the English Common Law faculty at the University of Ottawa. And she is an award-winning policy and legal researcher with a successful track record in citizen engagement and mobilization. As an undergraduate student at the University of Alberta in 2019, Hanan studied a dual BA in psychology and sociology. Her research explored the importance of understanding the impacts of historical and contemporary oppression and trauma on policy development and decision-making. Hanan has advised political parties, consulted organizations, and writes about the need for an intersectional and critical race analysis on a freelance basis. Hanan is a vocal advocate for the justice and peace for Black Somali women, Muslim women in Alberta in particular, who have experienced incredible violence and assaults over the last so many years. And we're delighted to have her join us this afternoon to moderate this panel. So Hanan, over to you and to our amazing honorees for 2021.
Yeah, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you so much for inviting me to be not just a part of this event, but witness the greatness that we have seen in the last, from the beginning till now, honestly. I honestly feel so inspired and excited that there's still so more that we can all learn from our amazing awardees. Again, congratulations, Mubarak to you all. Rightfully deserved. I mean, if we were in person, I would like rush to hug each and every one of you. So I'm just gonna settle for this bright smiles that I see right now. So our panel, rightfully so, is to talk about Women Who Inspire Awards, and the theme is resilience and self-care in turbulent times. Today, we're celebrating the indomitable spirit of women by sharing inspiring stories of strength, resilience, and fortitude, as we've all seen, as we emerge from the pandemic with new perspectives and insights. We turn to our amazing awardees for inspiration, and I hope that we all can learn so much from their remarkable trailblazing experience of resilience and overcoming setbacks and challenges on their quest for equality and social justice for us all. So we look forward to hearing all of your compelling stories and to find out what inspires you and keeps you moving against all odds, honestly. And so we're going to start with our first question. I don't know how we will do in order, but I guess I'll just like pick on you and then you can kind of speak up. Or if anyone has like a really pertinent need to answer, you can for sure like raise your hand and I'll pick you. So the first question is, and I honestly want to know this more than anyone maybe, but what inspires you to do what you do? Sometimes, you know, it's really hard to get out of bed. It's November right now, winter is coming in. I just really want to know what inspires Mina, for instance. We'll start with you if Mina's still here.
Yeah, so I am an advocate for Indigenous nations. I'm Pakistani, so I don't know what it's like to have experienced all of the harms and pain that Indigenous Canadians have experienced, but I know what colonization is and how it has impacted our people. I know what it's like to be taught to hate yourself, to be taught generation after generation that our skin color is dirty, to have our wealth stolen from us, to be disallowed from visiting our homelands. That pain and injustice, these have been some of my best friends since I was a little girl. And I remember all the times that nobody came, that nobody heard what I was saying or what I was experiencing. And I don't want anybody else to sit like that. I'm not always going to be successful in my career as a lawyer. I'm not always going to win my cases. I'm not going to change the systems of oppression that keep me down and that keep my clients down. But at least I can sit with them, I can see them, and I can work with them. And that is enough to get me out of bed most days. But thankfully, due to COVID and being able to work from home, I generally don't get out of bed. I just work from there.
Hey, that's fair enough. I mean, I will probably be doing that tomorrow for sure. I do want to get Dr. Fazia's answer as well. Would you be, yeah.
Thank you, Hanan. So as you guys have heard about me, that I'm a physician who works with the refugees. I would say that what inspires me to do what I do, almost at the risk of sounding cliche, I'm blessed with a fairly privileged life here in Canada. The course of my humanitarian work has taken me to the places and circumstances where people are living with barely the clothes off their back. The ones who truly have nothing, not even the certainty of surviving to the next year. So yes, despite that, those people, they remain determined and show a strength of character. I'm not sure I ever will. So which is why when I come back, I keep wanting to do whatever I can to change the situation of those or others in my community right here in Canada who could use our help.
Wow, that is such a beautiful answer. Thank you for the reminder. The next person, Gulbano, if you could unmute yourself. I'd love to know what inspires you.
Well, you know, we've heard so many people talk here today, and all we hear is how there is so much suffering all around the world. When I see people suffering, my heart breaks. It goes out to them. Honestly, I just don't want to watch the news, but sometimes you have to watch the news to know what is going around in the world. But it definitely affects me a lot. People who struggle to find their faith, where everyone and everything tells them that they are not worthy to be part of that faith, just because they are not like everybody else. I am really honored to be part of Vancouver Unity Masjid, because it has helped me and to understand that I can make a difference. The people who seek out our masjid are often alone. They're isolated, they are frightened, and they are in need of healing, and they need a community. So in our masjid, everybody is welcome, regardless of race, color, gender, or sexual orientation. This is the place where those who are not able to go to other prayer places or Muslim places, they are very welcome. And this is what inspires me when I see these people, that how happy they are that they're part of my community. And it doesn't matter who is there and who is not there, but the few that I have in my community, I really value them all. So,
Oh,
that makes me feel that, I'm making a difference there.
I love the reminder of it doesn't even have to be such a big difference. Just welcoming people into your space is more than you could even imagine for them.
Yes.
So really, thank you. That is such a beautiful answer. I'm probably going to say that a lot today, if you can get the theme. But the next question, and I'm going to ask the three people that I haven't asked the first one to, what does resilience mean to you? And I'm going to start with Alina. I really want to know how you were able to not just display resilience in your work, but within yourself and with your friends and family.
Well, for me personally, resilience means the ability to bounce back stronger than ever when we face difficulties and disappointments, instead of having difficulties and disappointments to keep us down. How it works for me in my personal experience is during turbulent times, it's very important for me to accept the reality that this has really happened. This helps me to move to the next step, that what are my options? How can I help? How can I provide support for myself? And how can I help others? And once I have my options, I can think of resources. What resources do I need to help myself and help others? I think this itself is empowering because it provides us with options, with choices to make. And often during turbulent times, there's a lot of uncertainties, and that's okay to take an action and then adjust our action based on the new information that becomes available. A recent and a good example I can provide is, for me personally, was the situation in Afghanistan. And it was not easy for me, like many other Afghans around the world. And for me, I had to accept that the unexpected chaos happened. That was the reality I had to accept in order for me to help myself overcome the situation and help others too. And what were my options to help Afghans in Afghanistan and Afghan refugees outside Afghanistan? And what resources did I need? It was my network, my social network, my support system. I was able to connect with my support system in the US to help Afghan newcomer refugees. I was able to connect with my support system in Pakistan to help Afghan newcomer refugees. I was able to support my friends here in Canada to collect donations and support with housing for Afghan newcomer refugees here to have a stable settlement experience, and participated in many donation activities and to collect donations and financially help Afghans inside Afghanistan. And this has really helped me personally to overcome the situation, because I felt like I was already doing something and helped many Afghans in Afghanistan. And what was really helpful during this process was my support system and my social network. I was able to identify them and let them be there when I need them.
Oh, wow. I honestly, there's so many gems that you just gave us, but what really sticks with me is letting yourself find people that can support you, not just with the work, but also mentally, and help you heal as well. So thank you for the tips. Someone that I really want to ask this question to is Hawa. I follow you on Twitter. I've seen the amazing work you put into your NDP nomination. And I do want to know how you are able to not just be resilient for your community, but also for yourself. Like, sis, you're killing the game. I just want to get your thoughts.
Thanks, Hanan. I was really happy to see you be moderating today because I'm also a very huge fan of you. So it's nice to be able to share space with you and with so many of you today. I have a complicated relationship with the word resiliency. I think it's often only people who are experiencing trauma or who are at the behest of some of the systems that we encounter that are asked to be resilient. We don't often ask people in positions of power. We don't ask, relatively wealthy, white men, what does resiliency mean? But we ask those who often are left to the margins. And so this idea that we have to take hits and then recover from those hits, just, what would it look like to have a world where we don't have to take so many hits and we could just we could just breathe and just live and, raise children and be with families and walk, grab a cup of coffee and walk down the street and enjoy the world we're in. We don't have to always think about diaspora or war or what's happening back home. Like, what kind of relief could that provide? And so I think when I think about resiliency, that's what comes to mind. And I think about how do I then use similar to you, Alina, how do I use the resources or what I know or how I know how to move through systems, the things I have at my disposal to really create that kind of a world for myself, for the people that I love. And so resistance is a key part of that resiliency, is both unlearning the things that I've been forced to learn and pick up in this world and in this country in particular, but then also like reminding myself to take a break, and that I don't really owe anybody anything if it's clear for me and it sits well with me. And again, for me, that's always come back to faith. If it feels like my path and I don't feel deterred from what I'm doing, it feels very straightforward and clear, then all the other things I can figure out, because there's something that's supposed to happen as I walk through, even through some of the toughest moments that I've had to experience. And Miriam Acaba is a well-known prison abolitionist, in Chicago, based out of Chicago, and she has a quote where she says, "Hope is a discipline." And so instead of thinking about resiliency these days, I find myself thinking more and more about hope, not as a far away, airy, fairy, unicorn fantasy, but actually as something we actively work towards. If we believe that something is possible and we have hope for that kind of a world, then, it's much easier for me to work towards hope as a discipline than it is sometimes for somebody to say, how many hits can you take before you get back up? And I'm like, whew, taking a lot of hits here. Right? It's a little bit easier for me to think through it using resistance and using hope.
Honestly, that was well put. I appreciate you adding academia as well, and not just. I just was getting so many optimism from this call, as well as hope. And I think a lot of people don't center optimism as like exactly what you're saying, something that we need to work towards and envision a better future for ourselves. So thank you, Hawa. I loved your answer. Continuing with the hope theme, I do want to ask our two folks that I haven't asked yet, what do you do for self-care and to keep yourself moving during these days? I do want to start with Salwa, because you are, in my opinion, doing the absolute most. I do worry, and I want to make sure you are caring for yourself, sister. But I do want to know, what are you doing for yourself?
Hanan, I have to say, it was funny when you mentioned like what wakes you up in the morning, keeps you going. It's hard. Like I'm currently on a very tough rotation. It's called gyne-onc, like gynecology oncology, and we have to wake up at 4:30 in the morning. And sometimes I really wonder, why am I waking up this early, like at an ungodly hour, and not seeing the sunlight, and never seeing the sunlight really in the hospitals. There's no real windows to look out of, and then coming home at another ungodly hour at 8 p.m. most often. And things like that, you really wonder, like, am I truly practicing real self-care? And I have to be honest, I don't think I'm 100% practicing self-care. And when you're in a demanding career, you just go on autopilot. And that's sort of what I've been on for the last few years. And I think now, starting my career officially as an OB-GYN resident, I know that I have more job security and I'm in a more sort of comfortable and safe space. And so I can really start thinking about myself a little bit more. while I think it's hard to practice self-care when, you know, you have so many other factors sort of you're pulled in so many different directions. You're always constantly worried about your patients. Like for me, like you're always taking work home, like you're always wanting to check up on the labs, checking up on knowing how your patients are doing, especially when they're critically ill and very unstable. And so, you know, that is like sort of our like center of attention or focus. And when, again, like when you're in a career like that, you really have to sort of step back and think about sort of where your priorities lie, focus on a little bit of your own mental well-being, because if you're not well, then you can't serve other people. And I think we're all intrinsically motivated by helping other people. And for me, it's practicing self-care is now slowly being integrated into my life. And I think it starts off with even the mundane of things, like, you know, if I come home early, I appreciate the colors of the autumn, like the fall. I look at my backyard and I'm like in awe that, you know, subhanAllah, like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is changing the weather, and I get to appreciate this every year. And there's so much beauty in all of that. And then it's also from taking breaks and also, you know, attending those phone calls from my friends, calling my mom, asking her how she's doing. A lot of the times, you know, as we were sort of progressing through our careers and, you know, having that focused goal, we've missed out on, you know, those dinners with our friends, weddings, vacations, and the exotic destinations we could have been at. But now I think once you're settled and you kind of know where you're going and where your goal is, you can really start recentering yourself and focusing on what matters and attending those weddings and having that dinner with a friend. So I think just the little things in life and enjoying the peace and comfort that brings. I as Nuzat mentioned, I love photography and videography, and you know, I recently bought a drone, and editing those videos brings me a lot of joy. And so it doesn't have to be so profound in terms of self-care. It just needs to be the little things that you can appreciate from your day-to-day life.
Wow, thank you for your answer. I honestly think doctors are like the pinnacle of sometimes community building. Like you really are in it, and how do you remove yourself when you go home? So I appreciate you telling us about your drones. I hope I get to see your videos and your pictures that you take on it soon. I do want to ask Nashua for your answer as well.
Yeah, that was a beautiful answer. The last two I'm following up were such beautiful. I'm saying what you said. You were going to say a lot, but it's I'm serious about it. But self-care, honestly, like I am going to tell a little anecdote. When I started yoga right before the pandemic, I started to feel really good. And it was regular and built in, and I was feeling really good. And I did yoga at a place where it wasn't like a very bougie studio with people it was with older people. I was the youngest person in the class. It was with many Indian folks, because I live in Mississauga, and they were all older, and I felt really good about it. And afterwards, I'd get green tea and go on a walk in the YMCA, and that YMCA's unfortunately been bought out by a developer. But I called my uncle who lives in Florida, and I'm very close with my Moroccan side of my family, and I said, you know, I'm doing yoga, Habibi, like it's doing good things for me. I like have this regular schedule. And he said, Nashua, he said, are you praying 5 times a day? And I said, no, I'm not praying 5 times a day. He said, Nashua, that's my yoga. When I wake up for a Fajr, and it's me and Allah, and it's the yoga. And that was 2 years ago. And I've honestly been bad about Fajr. And that moment kind of made me like, I need to be better about Fajr. And last Ramadan, I tried to be really good about Fajr, and it changed things. It was different than yoga. It's a different type of like healing and connection. And he's right. It's you and Allah. Like it's you and Allah, Fajr. And it's just as good as, he was like, it's better than yoga. He's like, you're moving your body in certain ways. You have routine. You're connecting with the deen, your head's on the floor, you're at the closest point you can be connecting with. And I also, it was mentioned, I write poetry, and I write and I reflect a lot. So my self-care was trying to be better about things like Fajr and prioritizing things like that. But my uncle was just so funny, because he called me out on my practices. He's like, do you pray 5 times a day? He was like, and I think getting better about those things. But another form of self-care for me, they take time to see friends, what Salva was saying, or do those catch-ups, or talk to my mom, and like share food with family and friends. And I think when I don't do that, that's when I start to feel burnout. So I take a step back and I make sure. So yesterday, my mom's friends and I had dinner, and like for me, that's connecting with women and like kind of matriarchs. And I always ask them about Morocco and like to share stories with me. And it kind of reminds me that I come from a history. I come from people who care about me, and they care about what I do. and I have relations and obligations. And so things are less lonely. You're never lonely or feeling burnt out or isolated when you know you're like, you come from a history, you come from a place, and you come from a rooted place, and you're cared for. And you're cared for in these different ways. And you remember that at the end of the day, it's you and Allah. So it's back to that Fajr and my uncle. And he was like, Nashua, are you praying Fajr? Like you're burned out and you're going to yoga and like, this is what's fixing you. Like you think like yoga's still good and I'll still do it when I need to do it and things like that. But he was right. It's that connection is not a connection that you can really get from the world, like the material world. And so I always try to remember that I can say no to things if it doesn't feel right with me and doesn't feel right with my deen, and I can say yes to things. And I don't really care about social ramifications. Like I only fear Allah, and like that's kind of my self-care. Like I go back to our teachings in the Sunnah when I feel a little bit lost or burnt out, because we have teachings for everything. And we have something that feeds us in an emotional way everywhere. And like the way we think about community and family and care for each other and ourselves, it's all in the Quran if you think about it. So yeah, that's how I think about it.
Wow, mashallah. May Allah reward your uncle. I hope we all, send a quick prayer to him, because mashallah, he not only gave you wisdom, but he's given all of us wisdom as well. So thank you for sharing that, Nashua. Alina, I see your hand is up. Would you also like to answer?
Sure. I just wanted to add what Nashua said is that faith also played a major role for me when I do self-care, praying and meditation. These are the evidence-based coping strategies for promotion of mental well-being. And they really help me, and praying helps me to, and it encourages me to stay hopeful. And when I read 5 times a day that with every hardship is ease, it screens out all the negativity. It encourages me to stay positive, and decreases my worry. Also praying 5 times a day, I express gratitude. It's a good reminder for me to continue to do good deeds, to help people, to be kind to people, and most of all, to be kind to myself. Because when I pray 5 times a day, I say that loving myself is loving God, and that my body has rights on me, and I have to treat it accordingly. So these are good reminders for me. It promotes my self-esteem. It gives me the confidence that whatever I do to help people, and therefore I will not be disgraced. So I agree, 5 times praying, meditation, and praying helps a lot with self-care.
MashaAllah, well said, well said. I also like to remember that this life is temporary through prayers as well. It really does center you, alhamdulillah. Dr. Fazia, would you have something to add for us?
Yes, I just echo what Nashua, Uncle, and Alina said. Actually, that's so beautiful. I just to add to what a couple of things, as a physician also, and especially in pandemic, we have seen that the mental health like Skype like that, right? So in the last 4 years, when I got involved with the refugee work, and I saw that, the rape of the women and young children's murdered in front of their women, and so it was very hard on me. But the thing that, and it was very easy for me to dip into the despair at times, because I would watch the news and all those problems that me and people around the world, including all of you now in this space, they are still working on. Those problems still persist. So because the Rohingya refugees, they are still in the camps with no better prospects for future that they did 4 years ago when I visited them first time. Syria is still a nightmare, and no one is going to close the Chinese Uyghurs concentration camps either. So it becomes very easy to think that, nothing I do matters, then why bother, right? But all of us, we must remember that as a Muslim, it's not our job to change the world, but it's duty our to try and do our part. So you have to remember that, whatever small part we can, and leave the rest to God. The other thing, just adding to those, like Nashwa's uncle, as he said, So as a physician, we read about this mindfulness, meditation, and self-care. Lots of scholars, lots of studies, data has shown that meditation, if we do it 25 to 25 minutes a day, and then we should not do it like all at one time.
Oh, has it only cut for me?
I think Dr. Fazia has been.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, yeah, can you hear me now? So something so
Okay,
beautiful has been prescribed from us, from God, like praying 5 times a day.
Okay,
The
so
other
while we
thing,
wait for Dr. Fazia to come back, or can you all hear her? Is it just me? You can hear me, but you can't hear Doctor.
No, we can hear her now.
Okay.
Okay, I can hear her too.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry about it. I don't know what happened. I'm sitting in my loft. The other thing besides prayers, as Alina and Nashua said, the other thing that helped me the most is to do the qiyam, standing up at night in the last part of the night. And at that time, you have direct connection to your Lord. It's quiet. You don't have meetings coming up. You don't have like appointments, like in my life, like I don't have to worry about, rush, that patient is waiting in their room. It's only you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I started doing it a couple of years ago. And honestly, it has become such a real joy for me. Since I have set the habit of night prayer, I'm more calmer, more peaceful. It gives me a joy that makes it bearable, whatever I see, and that joy is meaningful. Those just few moments of peace, and there's a sakina, there's mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at that time. So I will say that, it's real gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Wow, mashallah. Thank you for sharing. I'm like actually speechless because I'm going to definitely do the nighttime prayers one that you're saying, because it's true. We don't have meetings at that time. The phone's not blowing up. Like, what's stopping you, right? So thank you. I will definitely get on that for sure. So for our last question, and I'm gonna try to like do everyone with this one question. So let's try to like do speed round maybe. But I do want to start with Gulbano. I do want to hear something significant that you may have faced in your career that you will probably remember. And at the time you may have been discouraged or may have been inspired, who knows? But now you see it as a blessing when you look back on it. You're thinking like, oh, wow, that really happened to me. I'm like, mashallah, it's made me who I am today. You are on mute, by the way.
Sorry, you always forget that you are on mute. Lots of things have happened in my life. And if I were to choose, I would talk about what is most current in our world today. And it's to do with my son. When my son came out to me, I remember distinctly it was April, Earth Day in 1993. And when he came out to me, I was very upset. I was also very angry, didn't know what to do or what to say. I think mothers out there will understand me when I'm saying this. But, I'm a very quiet person, very calm. And so I sat down to think about it, and I thought with my heart. And the more I thought, I felt that this is what my son is. This is his reality. And I accepted him for what he was, because although, it wasn't easy for me, I definitely felt that he's my son. I love him. And as a mother, I support him. So once I made up my mind to give him that support and that love, I felt better. I felt better, but it wasn't easy. Believe me, it wasn't easy. But then I met a lot of his friends. I met so many of his friends, and especially when his previous partner was ill, his friends came to help him look after his partner. And all these people were so loving, so understanding. They were like any other human being. There is no difference, you know. And I think what helped me to understand this also was my faith. And with the faith comes dignity. Everyone is a human being and everyone has dignity. Allah also says in the Quran, I'm closer to you than your jugular vein. This means that this is a great equalizer. You might not like me, but then Allah is in all of us, so close to us, whether you are white, black, brown, green, doesn't matter, whether you are straight or queer, it doesn't matter. Allah is closer to you than your jugular vein. So I never hold anything against anybody. I always forgive from my heart. This is my son you are talking about, and I've always loved him. He's my everything, if you look at it. And I love him until I die, you know. I think it is my faith, it is Allah, it is my community of choice, my community was also my family, and my family all over the world who love me dearly. And I wish they were here with me to appreciate all the women here today who are the recipient of this award. But you know, this what happened so many years ago is still fresh in my heart, but it doesn't hurt me, it doesn't upset me anymore. I am happy that my son is happy with his husband Troy, and with his son Tajalli, who calls me Ama, loves me like anything, you know, doesn't want me to go back to Vancouver, of course. So, but yeah, that was a very big challenge for me, a big challenge. So.
Wow, mashallah. I honestly, I don't know about the other panelists that are here, but I would have started tearing up, but I was trying not to because I saw the recording button. But thank you so much for, oh my gosh, it's fun. Oh my gosh. Thank you for sharing that, Gulbano. The love that you have for your family is something that I deeply resonate with. And I think all of us here definitely have mentioned our families during this conversation. Again, thank you for sharing. And yeah, I'm just speechless. I think the comments are all just completely in awe of you and your story. So thank you for sharing that. I do want to just say that the giveaway will be closing soon. So don't forget to tweet at CCMW Canada and use the hashtag WWI 2021. I'm sorry that I couldn't get to the rest of the panelists for the rest of the question, but we do have to move on. But again, congratulations to all of you. I'll definitely be contacting each and every one of you just to, like, you know, connect because you're all so cool. Mashallah again. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the event. Just passing it off now to Nuzat.
All right. Well, I was tearing up, and, you know, I watched all of you, many of you, in your lives. I've met some of you for the first time as part of these awards, and each and every one of you was so you know, so genuine, so authentic about sharing your experiences and teaching us about how you know, you live, what makes you keep going, the role that our faith plays in our daily lives, or it has played in your lives, and how important family and friends and loved ones are in us taking care of ourselves and of our communities. So thank you very, very much. So to change the tempo a little bit, I'm now going to call on a wonderful performer whom I actually just literally ran into on the street under a gazebo in Unionville, Ontario. So you'll hear from her very soon. So let me tell you a little bit about her. Her name is Sadaf Mohebbi. She began her musical career in Canada with the North York Choir and is currently working on an album which will be released very soon. You can check out some of her first tracks from the album on her YouTube channel. Sadaf will now give us a live performance of some of these tracks. So Sadaf, you're on. Welcome.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. I hope you all are doing well. And so far, you had a great day. Thanks for having me. I'm here to perform my song named Bedrood for you all. And I hope you enjoy my music. Let's start. بی تو ای مانده جدا از من با دل تنها چه کنم با رنج ماندن و دل کندن از تو و دنیا چه کنم بدرود ای ماه دور دلخواه بدرود ای درد دیرین بدرود ای ناب خوب نایاب بدرود ای بغض سنگین بی تو بی خنده و بی رویا با غم دنیا چه کنم بی تو بی خاطر بی فردا خسته و تنها چه کنم بدرود ای ماه دور دلخواه بدرود ای درد دیرین بدرود ای خوب بغض محبوب بدرود ای شعر غمگین درد دوری از تو داغ تنهایی بود عشق اما زیبا عشق زیبایی بود بدرود ای ماه دور دلخواه بدرود ای درد دیرین بدرود ای خوب درد محبوب بدرود ای بغض سنگین
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. That was so beautiful.
Thank you.
And you know what? I have very rudimentary knowledge of Farsi, but I could actually hear some of the words. beautifully delivered and rendered by you. So thank you for joining us. And I'm so glad we ran into you and your mother that day in Unionville. And
Thank
actually,
you.
my sister-in-law, she's on this, she's also attending. She's the one who first heard your music when your mother was playing it on her phone. So we're delighted that you were able to join us. Well, we're moving along in our program, and I'd like to now call on Nafisa Sheikh, one of our board members and scholarship committee members, who's going to tell us about this year's Lila Feldman Scholarship winners. Nafisa?
Hi, thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum. I'd like to just talk a little bit about the Women Who Inspire Awards, the annual fundraiser. It helps raise funds to support promising Canadian Muslim women in their studies through the Lila Feldman Scholarship, which is named after the late Dr. Lila Feldman, a renowned educator and founder of CCMW. The scholarship is sponsored by CCMW with generous donations by community members and sponsors. Individual scholarships of up to $1,000 can be awarded each year to Canadian Muslim women who are enrolled in a full-time undergraduate or certificate program at a Canadian college or university. With these scholarships and bursaries, many women can afford to complete their education, which can then provide them with a better future for themselves and their families. A massive thanks to all our sponsors, funders, and donors who have contributed to this life-changing scholarship. You can contribute and make a donation to the scholarship throughout the year through our website or via phone and email. All the details are listed on our website at ccmw.com. Now it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you our scholarship recipients for the academic year 2021 to 2022. Our first recipient is Nagad Elmi. Nagad is currently studying at Concordia University of Edmonton with a major in business and a minor in IT. With this degree, she hopes to go to law school and give her community the support it needs to grow. Our second recipient is Sarah Ahmed. Sarah is currently in her first year of mechatronics engineering at the University of Waterloo. She is an accomplished illustrator, innovator, and community mobilizer. She is the co-founder of Muslim Artists for Justice, a nonprofit organization that inspires young Muslim artists to share their opinions and bring awareness to social issues that affect the Muslim community. Our next recipient is Uniba Mubasher. Uniba is currently pursuing her master's in spiritual care and psychotherapy at Wilfrid Laurier University, as well as completing her clinical placement at Ishiga Counseling Services. Her practice is guided by intersectional feminist and anti-oppressive frameworks, while utilizing trauma-informed, culturally sensitive, and spiritually integrative approaches in her work. Our next recipient is Muntaha Malik. Muntaha studies psychology, international development studies, and women's studies at the University of Toronto. During her leadership role in the Muslim Students Association there, the MSA hosted an event to call upon Canadians to stand up for the Uyghur Muslim community. Muntaha loves performing spoken word poetry and uses it as a tool to navigate personal healing from trauma and encouraging survivors to do the same. Our last recipient is Nevin Al-Kishawi. Nevin is a Palestinian immigrant from Gaza Strip. She is currently studying social justice education at U of T, seeking to address educational barriers faced by minority groups. Nevin actively participates in community initiatives to ensure social participation and inclusion. She is passionate about empowering others, sharing stories, and creating a difference in their lives with all possible means. If you would like more information about our scholarships and the winners, you can go to our website at ccmw.com. Thank you so much for your time, and I'm going to pass it on back to Miriam.
So Miriam, you're on. Thank you, Nafisa. That was
You're very
wonderful.
welcome.
Congratulations to all the scholarship winners.
Assalamualaikum. Can everyone see me? Okay, there you go. I am now in the spotlight. Assalamu everyone. My name is Miriam. I am the fundraising officer here at CCMW. Firstly, I would like to start off by announcing our giveaway winner for the free valued at $90 full face makeup session with lashes by the lovely Makeup by Liberian to, drumroll please, to @Nadine17. We really appreciate you tweeting the event and giving more exposure to the work that we do. Please, to claim your prize, please email me at miriamhamawi@ccmw.com. Congratulations to the winner. I will type my email in the comment box. Now to move forward, I'd like to express my appreciation for you being here today. I'd like to let you know that we have raised almost $13,000 so far for our Leela Feldman Scholarship Fund. We ask you to help us in reaching our goal to $20,000. What if I told you that your donation could be doubled or tripled? This year on November 30th, it is Giving Tuesday. We are asking for your support to become an ambassador for us. To get involved is really simple. All you have to do is support our LaunchGood campaign at launchgood.com/CCMW from now and before the end of the day on November 30th at 11:59 p.m. LaunchGood is having campaigns compete with each other in a friendly competition to win prizes and giveaways for their causes. We, CCMW, could be one of those campaigns to win one of those prizes. If we all work together, we can all make a positive contribution to Canadian Muslims women education. An example of one of the competitions is the first campaigns to have 50 supporters, just 50 supporters with any sort of donation amount, could be as low as $1, $5. We will automatically be able to win $500, which is amazing. So we ask you to donate any amount, and once you do, you'll be considered as a supporter. We also ask you to share the link to at least 3 of your family or friends to be able to support the campaign. The more supporters that we have, the more likely we are able to win of the prizes. So from now until November 30th, we can grow in contributions and supporters, inshallah. Give today, because when you give, we grow. Thank you, and salam, everyone.
Thank you, Miriam. So please donate and go to the LaunchGood site, launchgood.com/CCMW, to learn more and donate to this campaign or participate in this campaign. Well, it's been a wonderful few hours. Thank you for spending them with us. I'm going to pass the mic over to Nina for some closing remarks.
Thanks, Nusrat. Thank you for the updates, Miriam, and congratulations to the winners of the giveaway. I'd like to end today's presentation with some very exciting news. I'm thrilled to share with you news of a very important milestone for CCMW. We've been granted registered charitable status, and we're now officially a registered charity. Our charitable registration number is listed on our website, and this means that any donations you make to CCMW over $25 via phone, email, or online are now eligible for a tax-deductible receipt at the end of the year. We're absolutely delighted about this development, which has been a long time coming, and we'll be sharing all the details with you in the coming weeks. We'll also be launching our fundraising drive with a campaign for this year's Giving Tuesday, as Miriam told you about. It takes place November 30th. We hope you can join us and also spread the word on this historical campaign. Stay tuned for the details, and don't forget to follow us at CCMW and sign up for newsletter at ccmw.com for all the latest news and updates. Thank you all for being such a great audience today and for supporting the next generation of Canadian Muslim women leaders. And thank you and congratulations to today's honorees, and thanks to Miriam Monsef and Alia Hogbin and all of today's performers and speakers for joining in. Also, please join me in applauding and thanking the remarkable staff, board, and volunteers at CCMW for putting together today's event. A very special shout out to our amazing team members, Zainab Jamal, Miriam Hamawi, Iman Ahmed Noor, and Sufyan Jalili. They worked so hard to bring this wonderful event together. If you'd like to know more about any of the honorees and today's performers and speakers, their bios and information are listed on the Women Who Inspire event page on our website at ccmw.com. We'll be sharing the complete video of this afternoon's event on our YouTube page, website, and social media channels very shortly. Stay tuned for details. And a massive thanks once again to our sponsors, funders, and partners whose generous support and contribution allows us to work towards our mission and make events like Women Who Inspire 2021 possible. We welcome you all and look forward to you joining us for our year-round events and initiatives, such as the Muslim Women Scholars Series and our ongoing series of legal seminars, as well as our Women Who Inspire Awards presentation next year. 2022 is going to be a banner year for CCMW, and we're celebrating our 40th anniversary. We have lots of exciting events and initiatives planned for you as part of the celebrations. Stay tuned for details. Thank you all for your continued love and support. Goodbye and good afternoon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you again.
Salam.